Everybody's still drunk.
Everybody's still drunk. That's not good.
It's
And at the wedding, everybody's trying to give me liquor, and I told them no, thank you, because I'm driving. I don't drink and drive. I don't.
I'm recording.
Take a chance.
Oy vey.
Oy vey.
Okay, Parsha Tsav. Here we go. And I have people coming 9:45 by me as well, so I have to leave on time. Okay. Over the next few weeks, what we're going to try to do, the goal, is the Parsha Tashavua, and to start getting ready for Pesach.
Yes.
Pesach's around the corner. So we're going to start looking at the Haggadah and some insights into the Haggadah that you could share. I'll repeat some of the things I said to you earlier, but some ideas about the Pesach as well. Parsha Tsav. Vaydaber Hashem el Moshe lemor. Tsav es Aaron v'esbonav lemor. Tsav means to command. Rashi says that when a person loses money doing a mitzvah, sometimes they need to be encouraged. Some of the things the Kohanim brought came from their own pocket. Others say that when a person does something, the same thing over and over and over again, they need encouragement to do it with the same enthusiasm. You know, Aharon was going to light the menorah every day. They say 40 years later, he lit it with the same enthusiasm as when he began. How many of us put tefillin on today the same way we did at our bar mitzvah? How many women light candles with the same enthusiasm when the first time they lit it when they got married? It's unusual. That's the term tzav. Then it says, Zos Toras Ha'olah. It's an unusual term. This is the Torah of the Olah. And it says Zos Toras HaChatos. This is the Torah of the Chatos. We don't have a pasuk that says Zos Toras HaShabbos. This is the Torah of Shabbos, or this is the Torah of Shemitah, or this is the Torah of Yovel, or this is the Torah of Lulav and Esrog. But we have it by the Korbanos. So the Gemara learns out from here a very important lesson. The Gemara says that since the days of Avram Avinu said, I understand Korbanos are very important. What's going to happen at a time when we no longer have Korbanot? What are we going to do? What are we going to do? A person does an Aveira, they can bring a Korban. The Korban can erase the Aveira. What do we do today? We don't have Korbanot. So, some people say that Hashem said, I'll give you tefillah. You can daven instead. You have certain tefillot. And we have vidui for chatos, but we don't have necessarily a specific tefillah for osham or shlomim. We have birkat hagomel. So Hashem said, I'll give you something better. Zos Toras ha'olah. If you need to bring an olah, go into the Chumash and read about it, learn about it, study it. If you learn about it, study it, and read it, I will consider as if you brought it. So, if we're learning Torah, it means we're having a discussion. I can't say to you, let's talk about Hilchos Shabbos, and now you can drive to Shul on Shabbos because we learned about it as if you kept Shabbos. It doesn't work that way. I can't say to you, we'll learn the laws of kashrut, and you could go eat something treif. And you kept kosher because we learned the laws. It doesn't work that way. But by the korbanot, chatos, osham, shlomim, if you learn about it, if you read about it, if you study it, Hashem says, you know what? I consider it as if you brought the korban. And that's why it's called Toras Ha'olah. Because when it uses the word Torah, it means to learn. Fascinating. Then it says, Hi Ha'olah, Al Mokta Al Mizbeach Kol Halayla was set up on the Mizbeach. The Mizbeach had a plan. The top of the Mizbeach had 3 different fires. And one fire was the main fire, then there was a secondary fire to light the main fire, and there was one for the coals, for the ketoret. They had hot coals. And each day, in the morning, the Kohanim would choose, and one of the 2 Kohanim would come, and they would clean off the top of the Mizbeach. They would have all the ashes and the leftover wood and cinders, and they would clean it all up, called the Trumat Hadeshen, and they would put it next to the side of the Mizbeach, and it got absorbed into the ground. And then they would push fresh sticks or fresh wood, and the Mizbeach would be open for business. They would bring the Korban Olah. Now, In the Torah, by the word mokda, it has a small letter mem. That means if you look in the Chumash, it has a small letter mem.
What does it mean?
Mokda means the setup. Why a small letter mem? So one of the Meforshim give an interesting answer, and it's a difficult answer because I'm not sure how to apply it. But this is what it says. When a person does a mitzvah in public, he should do it in a way where he doesn't have to make a big announcement, I'm doing the mitzvah. Meaning as follows. A person is davening, okay? And should a person daven and shake back and forth a little bit like this? What happens if he shakes back and forth so much, like the whole table is shaking? You know, he's not only shaking, but the whole table is shaking. You have 5 people on the table. What would you do in that case? I've had that. Have you ever been on a bench? We're sitting on a bench, and one guy is shaking on this bench so much that the whole bench is shaking, you're getting seasick. You know, you think you're going to throw up almost. So what do you do? What do? You say to the guy, you know, calm down. Take a Valium. Relax. The guy says, I'm trying to get into the mood, you know, I'm getting into the mood. He says, I know, but you're driving us all crazy. You know, you're driving us off the wall. You know, and it happens, and there's certain times like Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur. See, normally on a Shabbos there's room. You know, everybody doesn't have to sit on top. But Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, the chairs are right next to each other, and everybody has to be maximized. And you have a guy like that, he drives you crazy. You know, or when someone davens and they daven out loud, where it's not softly, it's so loud, I can't daven. You know, you get up and you leave. You can't do it. So what do? The guy says, I'm doing this because I'm very religious and this gets me into it. But, you know, you say to the guy, but there has to be a balance, you know. You know, we talk about this in other ways. A guy, you know, in Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur, it's a big mitzvah to kiss the Sefer Torah. When you kiss the Sefer Torah, it forgives the averot of the mouth. Got it. So what happens, the Sefer Torah is coming down, and you are over here, you want to kiss it. I got you, I hear you. So you push 5 people, and you walk over 3 people, and an old man is knocked to the ground, but you got to kiss that Sefer Torah. You know? Does it happen? It happens to me all the time. I'm always the one on the floor. You know, because I'm right next to the bima.
It's not normal?
What?
It's not normal?
That is unusual behavior. That you know is religious, but it doesn't encourage other people to be religious. If anything, it drives people away. So that's what it says here. The letter Mochda has a small letter Mem. That Avodat Hashem, the Avoda of God, is from within and not a public display. You don't have to make a big hullabaloo in show off. You don't have to show off. Now, it's hard to figure. I mean, let's understand something. Maybe, you know, let's take the Arabs. They're in the airport. It's time to daven. What do? They just throw out a carpet in the middle of the airport and they go daven. I've traveled many times at 5, 6 o'clock in the morning. I got to put on tefillin. What do? I usually go to some area where no one is around, usually a gate that's closed, and I go behind the pillar and I put on my tefillin. Now, am I right or am I wrong? I don't know. You know, the non-Jewish person is davening in public, and everybody says, oh, wow, look, he's such a religious man. And I'm putting on my tefillin because I don't want people to think that guy's crazy. What does he have over there? He's putting boxes on his head and boxes on his arms. You know, I don't know. You don't know what to do. And a talus over your head, they don't know what to think. You know?
Maybe they want to blow up.
Yeah. You go on Sukkot in the street, right? So you carry your lulav and esrog. I got that. Some people put it in a plastic, so it looks like a shotgun.
Yeah,
so if a police car comes by and he sees you carrying this thing that looks like a shotgun, he's going to arrest you. You know, today, what are you going to tell him? It's Sukkot, I have a lulav and esrog here. Let me show you. Start opening it up, he'll shoot you. You know, it's crazy. So, you know, it's you don't know what to do. On one hand, if you carry the lulav esrog in the street, it'll make more people carry lulav and esrog. On the other hand, you don't need all the goyim to say, why is he carrying that green thing? It's not Palm Sunday, it's not whatever it is. I remember when I first had my job as a rabbi, with my first pulpit, I walked out of shul Friday night with my hat on. I had a hat. So the president of the shul came over to me and he said to me, "I'm very happy you're wearing a hat." I says, "Okay, why are you so happy I'm wearing a hat?" He says, "Because to wear a yarmulke in the street, it just wouldn't be appropriate. And all the people from the shul took off their yarmulke. They wouldn't wear a yarmulke in the street. But a hat's a good idea." So it came out that people didn't wear a yarmulke in the street because they didn't want to show they were Jewish. And he was so happy I was wearing a hat. The next day I wore a yarmulke. And that's why I'm now here in Ephraim City. No, because it bothered me. It bothered me that people didn't want to wear a yarmulke in the street, and they were so proud of the rabbi who didn't wear a yarmulke in the street. Eventually, my kids were wearing yarmulkes, and more people came, and more people wore yarmulkes. But someone came over to me and says, "How come you're not wearing a hat on Shabbat, Friday night, when you go to shul?" I had a reason. It wasn't because I was less religious. I was trying to send a message. You can wear a yarmulke in the street, it's not a crime. So sometimes doing a mitzvah and others see you do it can encourage other people to do it with you, not to be embarrassed. I think if the four of us were at the airport and we put on our tefillin together as a group and we had a minyan, then we wouldn't be embarrassed. Mm-hmm. But when you're by yourself, you're embarrassed. So there's a certain idea of having a group. But there's also the idea that if you want to be religious, you have to have common sense where don't do things that annoy the people around you. Because there's no mitzvah in annoying people around you. It's just no mitzvah like that. I heard something from the Lubavitcher Rebbe, something very interesting. Listen to this. They say the Lubavitcher Rebbe said this. It was very interesting. This year there were 2 Adars, right? So there's a halacha that if something falls into a pot, let's say some milk falls into a meat pot, how much do you need in the meat pot to cancel out the milk? What's the ratio? Batel b'shishim. How much is that? 60 to 1. Right. So he says that people have pain in their lives. People have, or have sadness. But this year, with the 2 others, there's 60 days. So your sadness is batel and shishim. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
It's very interesting. He says most years you have 30 days of Adar to be happier. But this year you have 60 days. So take the sadness that you have, and it's now batel, it's nullified in 60 days. 2 others cancel out the sadness. It's not so simple. People do have certain pain and sadness. People come to me all the time, they're going through some very difficult times, and no one is immune to that. And I don't always have the answer. Often I say to them it won't last forever. Whatever you're going through will come to an end. Eventually it will come to an end. Whatever the challenges you have will come to an end. It won't last forever. We just have to wait for that moment when it comes to an end. There's a very interesting pasuk at the end. In Perek Ches, pasuk Chav Gimel, it says Vayishchat. And on this word Vayishchat is one of the notes that this is the last time we have this note in the Torah. It's the shalshelet, that zigzaggy note. Mm-hmm. Now we only have it 3 or 4 times in the entire Torah. This is the last time. After this time, it won't come again. When we have that note, the shalshelet, what is the message? Usually the shalshelet is on a word that sends a message. What's the message? The message is delay. For example, Lot and his wife. The angel said, you have to leave the city. And it said, they delayed. They delayed. So that word, they delayed, has a shalshelet. That means they didn't leave right away. They had to be pushed out. Okay? Another time we have it is by Yosef and the wife of Potiphar. Yeah. She kept saying, come, come, come. And it says that he hesitated. Has that shalshelet. And they say he didn't know what to do, right? It's a challenge. It's a challenge. I put it in nice words. A guy, is married for many years, and life is not so exciting at home anymore, and his secretary is very nice to him, and his secretary flirts with him. It's a challenge, that's why I have no secretary. I work out of my home. So people say to me, you should get a secretary. I said, where? Number one, where can I put a secretary? Number two, my wife won't let me have a secretary.
This time, Yosef wasn't married on Asma?
No.
He was 17.
This time he was 17, 18. He was a young teenager with a lot of dreams. He didn't marry Osna until he was 30. He was in jail for 12 years.
Yeah.
Right? And then he got married, and then he wasn't in jail anymore. He was finished. But besides that, in jail he was at least safe. After he got married, he was
In what age he married?
30.
30.
He was 30 years old when he got married.
17, 12 лет, 20
And when the brothers came back
Was it
down, he was
14?
39.
12 вместо 10.
He had two
10,
children.
12, да.
So he hesitated. That means eventually he saw his father's image and he ran the other way. But, there was a moment, and it's a natural thing. It's a natural thing. So here, on the word Vayishchat, and Moshe was performing the Shechitah, it has the Shalshelet, which would imply he hesitated. So there's a very beautiful answer. This was the last time Moshe was going to do the Shechitah. After this week, next week, who takes over?
You sure?
Aharon and his children take over the kahuna. Moshe is now the Kohen Gadol. He's doing the avodah for the first 7 days of the Chanukah Mishkan, the dedication. But soon, beginning of Parshat Shmini, he hands it over to Aharon. That's it. He's finished. And his kids. He's retired. Yes.
According to Zohar, it says that all the Shechitah the Levim had done, the Levim, the Israel, the Kohanim.
I'll say that in a moment. But so Moshe hesitated because this was the last time he was going to officiate as the Kohen Gadol. So he wanted to enjoy the moment. He just wanted to soak it all in. What you're mentioning is something very significant. In the Mishkan, the Kohanim pretty much did the Shechitah. But the halacha is that Shechitah kosher bizar. That means you don't have to be a Kohen to do the Shechitah in the Beit HaMikdash. Now, why is it so interesting? Why? Is because in the Beit HaMikdash, the Kohanim did it, and that became naturally a continuation. Fast forward to a little boy by the name of Shmuel Hanavi. And he's in the Beit HaMikdash with Eli HaKohen, and someone is waiting to bring an animal, and he says, why are you waiting? And the person says, well, I'm waiting for the Kohen to do the Shechitah. And Shmuel Hanavi says, but anybody can do the Shechitah, even a Levi, even the Yisrael. Which is true, but it had been forgotten. It was a halacha from Moshe Sinai, but people forgot it. And Eli Cohen heard this and said, he's right. But now what's the problem? He's chayev, he's going to die. He's chayev misa. Because he was mora halacha lifnei rabo. The rabbi was there, and this little kid jumped up and knew the halacha. Now it's very fascinating, because Chana comes running to Eli and he says, please spare him. Al hanar hazeh hitpalalti. That's the boy I daven for. Now let's understand what this means. Let's put it in perspective. It's not so simple. The rabbi made a mistake. Okay? A kid who comes from yeshiva happened to have learned the halacha that day and says to the rabbi, Rabbi, my teacher told me today that this is the halacha. The rabbi checks it out and says, you know what, kid, you're right. Now, the rabbi should be very happy. Thank you for correcting me. Thank you for preventing me from making a mistake. But what does the rabbi say? The rabbi says, thank you, now I have to kill you. Now you're going to die.
Why?
Because you opened your mouth, when the rabbi is present. It's a very unusual thing. That means if he did it chutzpahdik, if the kid's going around saying, I know something the rabbi doesn't know, I'm smarter than the rabbi, then I got you. But if it's Torah, and someone comes and says, I learned it a little bit differently, don't we all want to learn Torah? Is that an affront? It seems that we have such a lack of kavod HaTorah that rabbis are subject to such abuse that the halacha seems to imply that you have to be very careful because rabbis are so easily ridiculed. And if the congregation thinks the rabbi doesn't know the halacha, they will abandon him. And therefore, they put safeguards in. So it's so strange. It's really strange because under normal circumstances, if someone says something that is incorrect, you want to be able to learn from, you learn from everybody. And nobody should be above the Torah. I'm not criticizing the way you dress, And this is actually one of my better suits, so I'm not criticizing the way you dress. But if a rabbi makes a mistake, is that is it death penalty? I understand. You Mechalo Shabbat, you want to say there's a death penalty. Where does it say if I correct the rabbi, it's a death penalty? But that's what Shmuel Hanavi was subject to. That's what Eli HaKohen said. The Gemara brings down with Rabbi Yochanan that someone corrected Rabbi Yochanan, and someone asked Rabbi Yochanan, "What are you going to do with that student?" And Rabbi Yochanan says nothing. I don't think he's going to live the year. And he died that year. That means he was so impressed. Wow, that student is so smart. And he says, I don't think he's going to live the year.
Oh my goodness.
It's scary, right?
Rabbi, is this law working in our generation too?
You know what? I don't know. Because in our generation, everybody's disrespectful to it. I had a guy. I mean. Let's understand. The rabbi gets up to give a drasha, right? On Shabbos, you give a drasha Shabbos morning.
Oh, yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
When I used to give a drasha, so depending on the week. Sometimes I had a guy that brought a Time magazine, so he would like to read Time magazine. When I used to speak, that's when he took out the Time magazine to read. That's when he found a few moments to read. Other people like to catch up on their Z's. And you get some guys and you try to give a speech and the guy's snoring. That's a little bit of a problem. There's an old joke that a rabbi was speaking and a child was crying. So the mother starts to walk out with the child. So the rabbi says to the mother, you can stay, the child doesn't bother me. And the mother says, I know, but you're bothering the child. The child is crying, you're bothering the child. I'm taking the child out, sometimes you're in a shul and you have, yeshiva guys that are there. And the rabbi is speaking. What do? They open up a sefer. They open up, they learn their Gemara. Why? All of a sudden the rabbi is speaking. So what's the message? The message is, I'm a yeshiva guy. I learned Torah 24/7. I don't need the rabbi speech. The rabbi speech is for the common folk, and not for yeshiva guys. That's what they think. What's the message? If you're watching the yeshiva guys who are supposed to respect the rabbis, disrespect your rabbi,
It's not respect, right?
there's not respect.
Yeah.
Okay? And these are the yeshiva guys. So Rabbi Yochanan is of the opinion that the higher level you are, the more respect you should have, not the less respect. Just pause.